Hi, how's everybody doing? Good. Well, I'm Adrienne from Studio 2.0, and we are a residential and commercial design firm in Saskatoon that offers both renovation and new build assistance. And today we're going to be talking about developing your basement and kind of how a designer can help you with that process. So the different topics that we're going to be discussing, as you can see on the screens, we're going to be talking about different design professionals in the industry, what the design phase of a basement development looks like, as well as what the construction phase of a basement development looks like. And then we're going to have a look at some before and after photos. So we are going to be using the presentation screens on the left and the right, so make sure that you're sitting in a location that you can easily see photos or information that's up there. So first off, we're going to talk about a few of the different design professionals in the industry. We have interior decorators, interior designers, architectural technologists, architects, and structural engineers. Each of these different professionals have a specific purpose and a specific job that they offer clients in this industry. Today, just due to time, we're going to be talking specifically about decorators and designers. So a lot of times an interior designer and a decorator are confused by people, and they've thought to be the same professional person. Actually, whereas an interior decorator is somebody who works with an already built environment and then adds decorative elements to it. So such as paint, furnishings, draperies, those types of things. So they're already working with a space that has a structure and a shape, and they're just developing it and making it look better from that point. They don't need to have any professional education, and as well, they do not have a professional association that they are part of in Saskatchewan. They're basically just somebody who has a keen eye for style. An interior designer is somebody who creates a built environment. So they manipulate shape, size, volume of an environment to create a new or changed area. They have to have a professional education from an accredited institute. They also need to be members of their professional association. And here in Saskatchewan, that professional association is called the Interior Designers Association of Saskatchewan. In short, it's called IDAS. And being a part of that association just helps you as a client realize that professional has jumped through the hoops to become a part of that association. Such things as insurance. We have to have continuing education credits throughout our work experience or throughout our working time to make sure that we're keeping up to date with what's going on in the industry. The other thing that an interior designer also needs is they need to be working towards their NCIDQ accreditation. NCIDQ stands for the National Council of Interior Design Qualifications. Now this is an exam that a designer will take after 7 years of combined education and work experience. And I'm actually going to be writing my exam coming up at the beginning of April here. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's something that we all have to do. The other thing how to know basically if you need to hire a designer. If you are doing any major renovations in your home, if you're thinking about building a new home, those types of projects is when you need to hire a designer. If you're just wanting to resurface your home and give it a new update, that's when you need to hire a decorator. So it's important that you're hiring the right professional for whichever type of job you're working on. So next we're going to talk about some of the services that an interior designer can offer you. Now each design firm has different services that they do offer to their clients. Us at Studio 2.0, we offer a variety of different services that are all customizable to you as the client. So let's say you just need an initial consultation to gather some ideas. We can offer you that. If you need assistance throughout your entire project, that's something that we can offer. So just depending on what your client or what you as the client needs, that's what we can offer you. So first off, to go through the list of the services that we do offer, we have design consultations, and that's where basically we would sit down with you as the client, we would determine some goals for the project, ideas, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of just that back and forth consultation at the beginning. Then we have design drawings, which are floor plans, AutoCAD floor plans, or elevations. So basically to develop a new built environment. So basically it would be information that your contractor would be able to work off of to create and finalize that project. Then we have electrical design, which is the location and placement and type of lighting, how it's switched and grouped together, and also outlets. So it's an entire layout of electrical that's placed over top of a floor plan that's developed. Then we also do ceiling design, which is the creation of different volumes, bulkheads, vaults, those types of things. So if you're changing anything, rather than just a flat plane on your ceiling, we can help to develop that. Then we also have millwork design and review, which is assisting with your cabinet design. So helping you decide what type of cabinets, where they're going, what they're going to look like, what's inside of them, and that sort of thing. And we can help you also working with your millworker, so we can help you when we go to that millworker's showroom, and we can help you pick products there. Then we have space planning, which is the placement and size of furniture. And that's usually done when we do the floor plans to make sure that your sofa is going to fit in that new living room that's been designed. We also help with product and material selection. And we have that professional training to make sure that it's not just an aesthetic product that's being picked, something that looks pretty, but it also has a functional aspect to it, and that it's slip resistant if that's important in an entry, or different kind of practical features to different products. Site meetings is another service that we offer to our clients. And that basically just assists you as a client through that construction process. Sometimes it's a little bit daunting with a contractor and you need a bit of assistance because you're not familiar with the construction process. So we can help you through that process and make it a little bit easier and be able to explain things along the way. And again, this is a list of the services that we at Studio 2.0 offer, and each design firm has a slightly different list, but generally speaking, it's more or less the same types of services. Is anybody here presently thinking about doing a basement renovation? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's awesome. So in this next part, we're going to do kind of a step-by-step process in how a designer can help you through that basement renovation, what to expect so that you kind of have a bit of a clearer perspective during this process of what it's going to look like. So first off, how to hire a design firm. Basically, the biggest thing is if you know of anybody who's used somebody in the past, that's always beneficial. There's always Google search, websites, trade shows, those types of things that can be beneficial. The biggest thing is once you have that list of a few different companies that you want to contact, is asking lots of questions when you call in. You want to find out from them what type of education that designer has, as mentioned before. You also want to find out what types of services that firm offers, and does that meet with your expectations? Are those the type of services that you as a client want? You want to also find out from them what their process looks like. Get them to kind of run you through, a mock-up kind of consultation. What can you expect? What do they want you to prepare in the meantime? Those types of questions. And then you also want to find out what their billing and payment process looks like. How much are you going to be billed? What's their bill rate? How often are you going to receive an invoice? Will you have an anticipation of what that invoice is going to look like before you receive it? Those types of things. Then you're also going to want to obtain references and portfolio information. And make sure you actually check their references. That's really critical to still, even though they say, yeah, I have them, make sure you phone them. And just, ask that reference tons of questions. How were they in the process? Was there anything that you wish that they would have done different? Those types of things. And then portfolio, that's a really critical thing to look at as well. You want to make sure that your designer has a diverse portfolio. A portfolio that it doesn't look like every one of the projects looks the same. You want it so that you can tell that the client's own style and input was put into the project. And it wasn't just the designer saying, yep, this is what I think we should do. The designer's there as a guide, a professional guide to give recommendations, but ultimately you're the one living in your space and you need to be happy with that end result. So that's an important thing, is to double check that portfolio and make sure that you see a diversity. And the most important thing is to trust your gut feeling. If you have a good feeling about how that person is treating you on the phone, their level of professionalism, how well they were communicating, that's a good thing. If you're feeling, you know, this, I don't feel that, then maybe call another firm. So another thing that you should be doing with your designer as well is signing a contract, very similar as that you would be doing with your contractor. And just to quickly run through, basically a contract is there to protect you as a client, so you understand what your responsibilities are and your designer understands what their responsibilities are. It kind of takes that guesswork out of things. So what our contractor, some information that a contract should include is your contact information, your project description, what types of services you as a client have selected, what your responsibilities are as a client, what your designer's responsibilities are, as well as billing expenses, and then terms and termination of how you can get out of your contract if necessary. So now that you've selected your design firm and you know which one you're going with, now you have to wait a little bit before you have your initial consultation. So then from that point, your design firm that you've hired should be getting you to do a little bit of preparation before that initial meeting. So for that preparation, for your basement development, you're going to want to think about kind of an itemized list of things that you're wanting in your basement, and then prioritize them. So you know you want a finished laundry room, and then get detailed too. You know you want a stacking washer and dryer. Maybe you want a sink to bleach your socks in. So get specific about what types of features you're wanting in that basement. So make this wish list, and then prioritize that wish list. So say, okay, so if I don't have enough space for a drying rack in the laundry room, is that critical? Like, am I going to be upset if I don't get that? So make that list and then prioritize it. And then you're going to want to determine too how you're wanting to use that basement. Are you wanting it for just an extended living space? Are you running out of square feet on your main floor and you just need more space? So think about you as the user, what your purpose for that basement development is. Maybe it's that your kids need extra bedroom space in the basement, so you're wanting to develop that. Also think about your budget. How much money do you have to spend on this basement development? And just, you know, and make sure that all of these types of things are discussed with your spouse, so that I don't show up and then I have to put out fires when I'm there. Because it has happened. So I advise that things are discussed previously. So talk about money, and I know that's sometimes hard because there's usually a spender in the family and a saver in the family, so make sure you're kind of halfway in the middle. Also talk about timelines. Do you have an expectation that you need your basement finished before Christmas because the family is coming over and everybody needs a place to sleep? So talk about those types of expectations. When do you want it started? When do you want it finished? And sometimes that will have to change based on your contractor's timelines or suppliers' expectations, but just to have an idea in your mind of what your expectations are. So then once you have all that done, the other thing that's always beneficial for a basement renovation is to see if you have the blueprints, the original blueprints of your house. That helps the designer a lot, so when they come to your place, they can see where all those kind of hidden gems are, like your teleposts and air ducts and things like that. So if you do have those blueprints, pull them out and have them at that consultation. So next up, we have the date when I show up. What can you expect? What is going to happen? So basically, when I get there, I always reiterate the process again. To me, that's very important to make sure that my clients are comfortable with what's happening. So basically, when I get there, we're going to have a look at the basement. We're going to pull out that wish list that you had nicely put together for us. And we're going to talk about any questions that may have arisen before I showed up. And we're going to talk about your entire wish list. So we're going to walk through the basement and kind of come up with ideas. You know, maybe this would be the best place for that family room. This is where the existing plumbing is located, so maybe we want to keep it in that area, and just run through ideas. Once we've gone through that, we're going to talk about the timelines that you've discussed with your spouse, and as well as the budgets. So we're going to talk about your expectations in that initial meeting. The other thing that we're going to do is once we have that kind of design conversation completed, we have that administrative side of that initial consultation where we're going to talk about the services that you're wanting us to carry forward with. Then we're going to be signing a contract that we originally had talked about. As well, when I'm at that initial meeting, I also take photographs and measurements. Even though you do have blueprints, houses aren't always built exactly how their blueprints show. So I still will take measurements. So that's kind of the gamut, and I'll take photographs. I think I mentioned that, but I will also do that so that if you phone me, you know, a couple days later and say, you know what, I had another brilliant idea at 3 o'clock in the morning. What about this? And then I have the pictures that I can reference back to and sound intelligent. So some of the different issues that arise a lot of the times in basement development are structural issues, space limitations, plumbing, and window concerns. So we're going to run through each of those and talk about those. So different structural issues. It's really important to make sure that you've addressed any structural concerns before you go into the cosmetic aspect of building interior walls or laying any flooring or drywalling. This is important just because sometimes this can really affect your budget. Sometimes, depending on what the structural issue is, it might take up your entire budget. So it's important to get those addressed and maintain that structure in your house before any aesthetic application is put in. I had one client where I went down into her basement and it was basically her floor was just a wave throughout the whole thing. And she said that she had somebody, I'm not sure who, tell her that she should just put a subfloor, build it up, and lay carpet right over top and don't even worry about it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what, I do not feel good about this at all. We need to get this floor addressed before anything gets done. So we did quite a bit of research and we called in quite a few different experts in this situation. Basically, there was water pressure under her house heaving up her floor. So those types of things, that needs to be addressed before anything gets applied over top of that floor. The next is space limitations. So based on that wish list that you've already created, and the reason that we've prioritized them is because often there's a lot of space limitations, where maybe having that 5 foot by 5 foot steam shower in the bathroom really doesn't fit, but maybe we can do a smaller version of it. So that's why the prioritizing of that list is really important, so that we can see what's critical that gets in that space and what you can give up. Not everybody's basement's huge, so that's why these features, we need to prioritize them and adapt them based on that information. So basically, space limitations in regards to which rooms, and even prioritizing rooms, not even just features. Can you give up that walk-in closet in the bedroom? Can we just go with a standard closet? So those types of things are what can really affect your space limitations in a basement. So plumbing. Whether you have an already developed basement or it's in a new house that hasn't been developed yet, or in an older house that the basement's never been developed, plumbing is not ever usually in the place that you ever desire it to be. So that can be a concern, because there's a lot of cost that goes into plumbing and changing plumbing, especially in a basement. Because if you want to move anything, that floor has to be jackhammered up and relayed for the new pipes and that sort of thing. So it's important to decide on your priority list how important having that oversized bathroom is, or are you okay with keeping the plumbing and everything where it is? Because that can cause a huge cost increase to the project. So it's always thinking about those types of things. If you're tight for budget, maybe keeping the original location of the plumbing is what you're looking for. If you want that luxurious spa bathroom, then changing that plumbing location is maybe more of a priority for you. And it's always working with your designer to find that balance between what's important and what you can give up. And they'll help you a lot with that too. The next thing is windows in a basement. Nobody really likes a dark, gloomy basement. So it's always trying to get as much natural light into there as you possibly can. So if there's an opportunity to add any windows, that's something you may want to consider. The other thing always to think about is the bedroom windows. Those actually have code requirements of how big they need to be. So that's something to think about as well, is making sure that that existing window that's in there is going to meet the square footage requirements of that bedroom. If you're wanting a bigger bedroom, you may have to change the size of that window to meet that code requirement. And those calculations are something, again, that your designer should be familiar with to be able to help you with that. So now that you've had your initial consultation and you've decided which services you've selected and what you need help with, so then it's time to kind of compile your design plan. And your design plan may consist of your elevations, your floor plans, your electrical and millwork design, or your products and materials selection, just based on which services you desire your client or your designer to handle for you. So then once your initial consultation is done, your designer will go away and work on these different things and obviously bring things back to you once they've been completed for approval. So then with this design plan, your designer will gather this information based on a discussion that you've had with them about your personal style, what your expectations are, your likes and dislikes. So it's not like they're just going to go out and make up something on their own. It's a conversation that you have at that initial appointment of how you as a user wants to use your space, your budgets, what style you like, and that sort of information. So next we have some different tips that can help you in designing your basement. Lighting is always an important thing in a basement, again, to eliminate that gloomy feeling. So adding lots of layers of light, and that includes artificial and natural light as much as possible. And layers of light, I mean also having different light switches to turn on and off different lights as you go throughout the space. So maybe you want to have wall sconces on separate switches, your pot lights in the basement. And that also helps just to create different moods and environments. So if you have a theater room, you want to have dimmers, that type of thing. So lighting in a basement is really critical to make it more of an enjoyable space to be in rather than the basement. Drop ceilings or suspended ceilings are also really great for basements. And they've come a long way with a lot of those different products, and they don't look as commercialized as they used to. So don't be scared to explore that, and the benefit to those types of ceilings is that you still then have access to your plumbing and mechanical and electrical needs that are in your joists. The other thing is keeping your ceilings as high as you possibly can. So if you need to tuck around ductwork and that sort of thing, that's great. But the other thing is you don't want to look like you have these trails of cold air returns running on your ceiling as well. So then maybe it's creating a bulkhead on the other side that matches it so that it looks like it was an on purpose situation rather than, oh, there's my cold air return. The other thing to think about too is also keeping similar materials going from your main level into your basement. So if you like the materials that you have upstairs, or if you have recently renovated upstairs, it's always great to keep those same concept of materials running down to the basement. So then it just seems like an extension of the house rather than a new area of the house. So it just kind of creates that flow feeling. The other thing, if you can do, is open up any portion of the stair. So whether that's adding some railing at the bottom so you don't get that tunnel effect as you go down, you know, where you usually get that tunnel and then you open the door at the bottom. So if there's any way to open up that stairwell, it's always great. It even adds light flow between upstairs and downstairs as well. The other thing too to think about is any of the rooms upstairs that you feel like you're missing, such as like a home office, that sort of thing. If you feel like you're missing anything, make sure that's incorporated in your basement. So now that your design phase is done and you have any floor plans that you may need, elevations, and just keep in mind as well, if there's any structural work that needs to be done, an interior designer can't do any of that structural work. So then they need to go forward to get assistance from an architectural technologist or an architect, just depending on the project. So basically, once that structural work has been adjusted, then we can carry forward with any changes from that point. But we are not allowed to do any structural changes. So now once your design phase is completed, it's time to start that construction phase, which means trying to find a contractor, determining what involvement your designer will have in that construction phase, and finalizing the project. So selecting a contractor can be quite a daunting task. So basically, it's always great to get referrals from friends and family who have done renovation projects before and who have liked their contractor. And that's always a huge asset. The other thing to do is also check out the Saskatoon Region Home Builders Association. They have a list of contractors, and then always reference to other associations like the Better Business Bureau. Doing Google searches is also okay, but it's always really important to do double checks on these people. So it's asking lots of questions to them It's asking for references, and again, making sure that you call those references. So you want to find out if you can have a look at any of their past projects as well, whether that's photographs or being able to see potentially even a current project that they might be working on. And you want to double check that they have the proper insurance and workers' compensation to be working on your project. You want to make sure also that you're going to be signing a contract with that contractor and not just winging it. Winging it and a contractor should never be two words used in the same sentence. Also finding out what type of associations they're a part of. That also, again, as it is with an interior designer, helps you as a client to make sure that they have jumped through those hoops to get that proper accreditation. And then always still listen to your gut. So you might be asking, is my designer done? Can I still have their help, or are they finished? Can they do anything else? So basically, from this point on, your designer, if you so choose, can be finished with the design phase. If you feel like you need assistance through that construction process, that is something that they can help you with. But again, it's something at the beginning of the process that you need to find out from your designer if they have that construction experience. Do they understand that sort of thing? Because if they don't, they won't be able to help you with this. They're going to be learning the same thing that you will be doing. So you're going to want to find out how much construction experience they have, what their understanding of it is, and that type of thing. So they can help you just be that liaison between yourself and your contractor. They can be there for different site meetings that you're unfamiliar with and just help you throughout that entire process if you're feeling uncomfortable with it. So now that you have your contractor completed or selected, your designer is finalized and the construction phase is completed, now that your project has been wrapped up and finished, it's always important to be excited about the final result. A renovation for your basement can be very stressful, so just try and look past that and look at the enjoyment times. Maybe there is somebody who does currently live in the basement and they've had to relocate and camp out in the living room or something like that. Or maybe the laundry facilities have been altered and you've been going to the laundromat for the last few months. So it can be very stressful, but those are types of things to think about. If your laundry room is currently in the basement, where are you going to be doing your laundry? And same thing too with a main floor renovation. Where are you going to be cooking? How is this going to work? These are things that a lot of people don't always think about. Am I going to be living at my mother's for X amount of months? Can you handle that? So those types of things are important to think about. So once your project's completed, it's always great to invite all of the different professionals back to have a look at that final project. I love coming back and having a look at projects after they've been completed and just seeing that smile on your face and seeing how happy you are with that final result. So next we're going to have a look at some before and after photos and floor plans. So this first project was a house that was built in the early 1900s that we had done. And the very first thing that the client said to me when I walked in is, I completely understand if you can't do anything. Basically, the stairwell was about 30 inches going down. The last 2 steps was a pallet and a crate, and I seriously had wished I brought my mud boots that day. And when I got down there, there was teleposts everywhere, in no necessary order. And so the client, she says, it's okay, if you want, you can just say I can't do it and leave. And I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try, and if I can't do anything, I will phone you and let you know that there is no way that I can create a floor plan for you. As you see on the right, a floor plan was developed, and they got in all the different requirements that they did expect in that basement. They wanted a home office, they wanted a family room, they wanted space to have exercise equipment, they wanted a full bathroom, full laundry room, storage. They wanted a bedroom and space to have a sewing area. Every one of those requirements was met and put into that floor plan. So as you can see, the picture on the left is the before picture of the basement. You have to see it in real life to really realize how exciting it was. Then on the right is the after photo of the basement. That's of that family room area. The next couple pictures are the hallway leading from the stairwell down to that family room area. And then the picture on the right is of the home office. Then we have a couple photos of the bedroom. So as you can see, it's made quite the transformation from what it originally was. And then we have a picture of that walk-in closet in the bedroom, as well as the bathroom. The next project here was another basement development that we had done. Their main reason for doing this renovation was that they wanted their 2 girls to be able to eventually move down into the basement when they got old enough. And as we all know, girls need lots of clothes storage, and there wasn't any. So they both wanted walk-in closets, and I'm kind of jealous. So they both got walk-in closets in their basement bedrooms. The other thing that they really wanted to do as well is they had some mechanical equipment that was exposed in that one bedroom. So they wanted that to be closed off in an area that wasn't visible as well. And then just make a more practical layout for the family area rather than just this really long room on that one side. The bathroom had recently been renovated, so they wanted that left how it was. Then this next project was a main floor and partial upstairs renovation that we had done. And this client, she really loved to bake, but she didn't feel like she had enough counter space in her kitchen. So that was one thing that we adapted. The other thing that was a concern as well that they had actually not even thought about was the family room, the one with the fireplace in it, had a lowered floor by about 9 inches. And it was always a trip zone. They were walking up and down to be able to get through those spaces. And so I suggested, I said, well, have you ever thought about lifting up that floor so you're not always stepping up and down? And they were like, wow, that's a great idea, let's do that. So we did that. And the other thing that we did as well is remove the wall that was between the hallway and the stairwell so that you're not using up all that floor space for hallway. So you can have it kind of more as a flex space. If you have the company over, you can extend out that dining table. So then on the left, we have the before picture of the kitchen, and on the right, we have the after photo of the kitchen. She also had a lot of cookbooks and wanted some extra storage that she couldn't fit into the kitchen. So what we were able to do, you can see on the picture on the left that there's some extra cabinetry in that kind of dinette area. And the nice thing with that is it's a different material than what the kitchen cabinets were. And so it doesn't look like we tried to make the kitchen bigger than it really could have been. It looks more like a hutch or a china cabinet type thing in the dining area, which actually turned out really, really well. And then we have a before picture of the family room and an after photo of that family room. So you can see there that railing in the before picture, that's where that step was. And then in the after photo, you can see what that floor runs straight through into that nook area. And then we have their ensuite. So their ensuite had a very small shower. It was about 32 by 32, and then it had this shelving unit that was tucked into the wall behind it. So I don't know if any of you have tried showering in a 32 by 32 inch shower, but let's just say it's no fun. So we decided we were going to blow out that entire shelving unit behind the shower and expand that entire shower so that they could have a nice big shower, full glass, and allow a lot of light into there. So it actually gave them a bit more storage because they have a better vanity system as well in there. And then we opened up that space between that and the walk-in closet. This couple, I see them every once in a while, and they always tell me, you know what, we don't need to go on holidays anymore. We're on holidays every day in our new house. So it just goes to show that having somebody that helps you through that entire process and sees your vision and can walk through that with you and be excited with you through that process, it makes a huge difference in that final result and seeing that end product. This was another kitchen renovation that we had done in a 1950s house. The center wall between the between the living room rather and the kitchen, that was a load-bearing wall, which meant that it had a structural element to it. So that meant that we had to have special drawings done for that to take out that wall. And then we expanded the kitchen. So she has tons of counter space. She has an eat-in table in the island. Fireplace added, tons of storage. So it's a whole transformation in that space. So on the left, we have the before picture, and on the right, we have the after picture of the kitchens. Her previous kitchen, it was so small, like you could only have one person in there, at a time because all the doors were hitting each other and it wasn't very comfortable. And then we have 3 more after pictures. This was another main floor renovation that we had done. And this family liked to do quite a bit of entertaining, but they felt that they couldn't have that access between the living room and the kitchen because of that wall in the middle. So that wall was taken out. And the other thing that they wanted as well was to have a bit more of a private entryway so that when people came to the door, it wasn't a clear view through right to the back of the kitchen. And they also wanted to have a home office in their kitchen. So what we did is we ended up rearranging for that home office, rearranging that bedroom closet and tucking a small desk with a pocket door on the back side of that closet. So again, we have the before and after photos of the kitchen. And because that wall was taken out, there was a tremendous amount of light that was filtered now from the front of the house to the back of the house, so it lit up the entire space. So in that center picture, you can see that small home office area that they wanted. And again, see, that was a requirement of theirs. But then space limitations became an issue. So then they were like, yeah, we for sure want this home office. So they were willing to downsize the size of it just to still maintain that office space. So that's the conclusion of my presentation this afternoon. Studio 2.0 is located at booth 315, which is right behind Rockscapes, right behind you. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be here around the stage for a little bit, or you can meet us over at booth 315. The other thing, I have some marketing material here to the side with brochures, business cards. And we also write a monthly magazine called Design Perspective. And that can be, you can easily sign up for that, and that can be sent to your inbox each month. And we have a copy of the Design Perspective for this month that actually has the information that was discussed in today's presentation for you to take home. So if anybody has questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much.